Hey everyone, so today we're going to be talking about sex, drugs, and lies, and these are really my favorite videos to actually make because I think it's so important to talk about topics that girls are actually dealing with and affected by. And while I can only speak from my personal experience and give you advice that I would give to someone else based on what I've gone through, I love to kind of have the comments be a section where people can come and feel safe and protected and can also learn different things and hear different point of views and advice and opinions and different experiences other people have gone through. So if you would love to share any of that with other girls in the comments below, please do so. I love reading through them and I know other people find it extremely helpful as well. So the first question is, what's the number one tip you have for hooking up emotionally and physically? I'm really glad that she specified that because I have very different tips for both. Physically, first of all, of course you need to have consent, make sure that that's there on both ends, and of course that should always be respected. Past that point, I think you need to talk about protection, so whether that be condoms or if you're on birth control, make sure that it's kind of out in the open so that you don't run into a position where you're kind of in the heat of the moment and you end up having unprotected sex, because it's easier to just kind of prevent that and be prepared and kind of have that open communication. And if you are having sex with someone, you shouldn't feel like embarrassed to like ask them to use a condom or to discuss if you're on birth control or what your plan is. I also think, of course, boundaries are really important. With also explaining what you like and what you don't like, you need to kind of be open about what your definition of hooking up is. I know sometimes people think hooking up is like intense making out, or it could be actually full on having sex. And of course you have the right to at any point decide that you don't want to go any further and that you are not comfortable with that. And of course never feel bad for that, because you should always only do what you are truly comfortable with and never let anyone pressure you into doing something that you don't want to do. That is so wrong. And if you're with someone that's doing that, you are definitely not supposed to be with that person, because that's just terrible. And no one should ever make you feel like you have to do something, because you don't. It's your body and they are your choices. Now, as far as emotionally, I think it's really important to kind of think it through, and that's so simple, but I think something that not every girl does, and it will save you some heartache down the road. If you're with a guy that you really like and you're hoping that he's going to become your boyfriend after you sleep with him, you know, maybe make sure that he's on the same page, because I know a lot of girls, my own friends, that have hooked up with a guy hoping that it would kind of further their relationship in some way, and a lot of the time it doesn't. I think casual sex and casual hooking up has become so common that if you're not fully on the same page about maybe wanting a relationship or wanting to date or wanting something more out of it than just a physical act of hooking up, you need to be talking about that, because I think a lot of times guys will say, no, I was just wanting to hook up or have sex or, you know, touch or whatever it is, and they were never intending on having a relationship or going any further romantically. And I think that's very hurtful for girls, because of course it's normal to feel a sense of attachment and to feel like, you know, because you've been intimate with someone, you want something more out of that, and you should never feel ashamed about that. But like I said, kind of having that all sorted out before it happens will save you a lot of heartache down the line. The next question is, have I ever done drugs? And I've made a video in the past about my experience with smoking weed, and let's just say it was not the greatest time. I really did not enjoy it. I felt very weird and uncomfortable and kind of just out of my element, and it just wasn't something that I really ever had interest in doing beyond that. I will go ahead and link that video below if you would like to hear about it. And as far as any other like hard drugs or anything, no, it's just never something that I have wanted to do, although I know of people and friends that are not the type of people to do drugs, you know, maybe more kind of reserved people and people that just never, you know, would normally seem like they would do that. And then they've been in positions like going to a music festival and having other people, you know, doing stuff around them and kind of making them feel like they have to party and be crazy, and, you know, they'll go buy drugs off some random person at a music festival and do them. That's super, super dangerous and scary, and I think about that all the time, and I just can't imagine, you know, if you were in a situation with like a group of friends and like something bad happened. That's just terrible, and that scares me way too much for me to ever have any interest in ever doing that. But I did watch this really interesting documentary, and if I can find it, I'll try to link it below. But it basically was these two guys, and they created this thing where they could like pour some of like a solution onto like, you know, some drugs, and it would actually come up different colors based on what was actually in it. And it was crazy to see the different things that people were being sold at music festivals festivals that were not pure and that were like these weird concoctions of really poisonous, bad stuff that you definitely don't want in your body. So just be careful, be safe. Of course, always make decisions for yourself and, you know, just try to do smart things. And in my opinion, I'm not interested in drugs and I don't really hang around people that do drugs either, but you know, it's your life, live it how you want, but just be careful at the end of the day. So the next question I have is, this guy, I really like him, but he has a girlfriend and he's showing interest in me. What do I do? This is a huge question. I will definitely make a video about side chicks and this whole type of thing because I've been on both sides of it, honestly, and I've had a lot of experiences with guys trying to kind of, you know, hit on me or like hook up with me and hang out with me when they have active girlfriends. And number one, I think you never should have to like investigate someone and figure out if they're in a relationship. If they are in a relationship and you're single, you know, you can kind of do whatever you want, and that guy should be the one to, like, you know, be upfront about his status with a girl, especially if he's the one in a relationship. That's his responsibility to do that. But my feeling on it, and I know not all girls feel the same with this, just, I never want to do something to another girl because I know how that feels to have it done to me, and I don't want it done to me. And I guess in my own kind of karma and my own thinking, I feel like if I, you know, show that I'm not going to do that to someone else, maybe down the line it won't happen to me. I don't know, but I also think that it looks very mature and just very level-headed to tell a guy straight up, you know, I'm interested in you, you're cool, I would love to get to know you, but I don't think that's fair while you have a girlfriend. I think you need to work things out with her first before this could ever be a possibility. And if he's a good guy, he will take that well, and maybe that will be the push that he needs to go forward and figure out with his girlfriend what's the deal. Because if you're mature enough to be in a relationship, you should be mature enough to end one properly without cheating on someone, without going behind their back and all that kind of crazy stuff. I also think it's just never a good like thing to start out a relationship kind of on like a secretive, like, I don't know, like cheating level. It's just, I don't know, it's never good to start off with like secrets and all that kind of stuff. And the type of person that I would want to be with would be someone that is able to be upfront and be honest. So that's kind of my 2 cents on that. But I will make a totally separate video because that's a great topic and I have a lot of crazy stories about it. And the last question is, I have a friend who constantly gets way more drunk than the rest of our group. What should I do about this? I can totally understand where you're coming from with that because I think everyone has kind of experienced that in a friend group. And number one, it's super dangerous to drink to the point of blacking out or, you know, being super hungover the next day or having alcohol poisoning, throwing up, all that kind of stuff. It's very, very real, and I think it's way more common than people even think. And I think it kind of comes down to a few different factors. You know, sometimes girls will not eat dinner because they want to use their calories at night when they're drinking, and that's so dangerous because without having like food in your system and stuff, the alcohol just hits you so much more and so much stronger. And a lot of times I've seen it kind of does like a delayed effect, at least on a lot of people, where they'll take a few shots, feel fine, and then, you know, by the middle of the night they're just blackout wasted. And that's so scary, and I don't think that you should have to always, you know, baby other people. But of course, you know, if your friend's in bad shape and they've had too much to drink, help them out. You know, don't let them leave with strangers. Make sure that they're okay because that's so scary and dangerous. And I know that there have been many stories of people passing out and, you know, throwing up and choking on it and stuff, and just terrible, scary things. So if you have a friend that's constantly doing that, I think, you know, get them in a setting where you guys are sober, where you're not going to embarrass them, and just talk to them about it. You know, explain that the last few times you've gone out, they seem like they've kind of overdone it a little bit, and, you know, maybe kind of just talk through that and figure out why they're doing it. I know a lot of times girls will drink kind of to excess when they're really nervous and they're trying to kind of loosen up, and I know a lot of girls also think being kind of wild and drunk is like sexy to guys. And I've had a lot of guy friends that have said, you know, I really liked this girl, I was into her, until this one night she showed up at the party wasted and sloppy, and at that point I kind of decided like she wasn't the type of girl I liked. And I've seen that happen so many times. So the whole idea of being fun and sexy and loose kind of backfires on you. And I just think, number one, if you're trying to impress people or you're trying to be around people and make a good impression, never put yourself in the scenario where you may be kind of out of control and you can't act like the best version of yourself. And above all else, just be careful. Know your limits and try to figure those out. And of course, always help your friends if they're in need and if they've had too much to drink, because that's a scary situation to be in if you are alone. So that's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Feel free to leave the comments below, and I'll see you next time. Bye!